Alright, hello everyone, welcome back to Speak Up. It's the third installment here. I'm doing something a little bit differently this time, and I'm hoping this works out. So basically what I'm going to do is instead of doing like 4 or 5 different topics in one little episode, I'm going to try and break it up so that it's only one or at the most 2, because I realize not everyone has time to sit through a 45-minute thing of me talking about sports. So with that being said, as always, leave any feedback that you have for me. If you like this, if you don't, whatever, how I sound. I tried to take a little bit of time off because with the cold that I had for about a week and a half, that I'm still, for the most part, over, but still getting over a little bit, I sounded like someone who should not be allowed within 300 yards of a school, because that's how bad the voice was. I decided to take a little bit of a break because I realized that my voice is annoying enough anyway that people wouldn't want to hear a more annoying version of it. So that was a courtesy to everyone else. Today, though, I want to talk about something that I almost laughed at when I was at work and I saw this come across social media. James Harden, you may know him as the Beard, the man who does not shave his caveman-style beard, the great flopper. Chef Harden sometimes, because he makes that stupid little cooking thing after he makes a shot. The runner-up for MVP last year, he lost out to Giannis in MVP. I was trying to think of another name and I couldn't think of one for Harden, so that's why I kind of had to stop and think for a minute, because I'm trying to think of another nickname for James Harden other than Baby or Man-Child or Brat. It's tough. I want something that emulates his skills, but all I can think of is just Crybaby. So obviously Giannis Antetokounmpo won the MVP on the Milwaukee Bucks, the best record in the NBA at 16-22. He was one of the most unstoppable players in the NBA. It did it without having a free throw shot either. And that'll come up later, and it'll be relevant later. James Harden, the runner-up, was asked about losing the MVP award to Giannis. This was part of his response. He said, and I quote, "This is not satire. I've checked the sources. This is verified information." And he was not joking, although it's going to sound like a joke when I read this. He said, and I quote, "Once the media creates a narrative about somebody, they just take that narrative and then run with it," end quote. So he is alluding to the fact that Giannis Antetokounmpo had a narrative about him this year that allowed him to win MVP. It wasn't based on his skill. It was based on the narrative. Now that you have finished chuckling, let's dive into this quote here from this absolute bearded baby. So James Harden is basically whining that he doesn't think it was fair that he lost MVP because Giannis had a narrative about him. Giannis Antetokounmpo, let me remind you of what these teams who these guys play for. James Harden plays for one of the biggest cities in Dallas, one of the biggest cities in the southern United States, a team that has been a contender for the past 5 years and will likely continue to be, in the Houston Rockets, with a population much bigger than Milwaukee's, more media coverage, more stars, and more recent success. That's who James Harden plays for, a big market that media favors. Giannis Antetokounmpo, born in Nigeria, grew up in Greece, moved to the United States, was drafted 15th overall by the Milwaukee Bucks, one of the probably in the bottom half, I'd say, of franchises in NBA history. That play in a city of 600,000 people, in the state of Wisconsin, where we have a festival, I learned the other day, for corn, in a city called Cobb, that's in the county named Iowa. That's how ridiculous Wisconsin is, that we don't even have enough people in this state to come up with county names, so we just stole the name of a state to make Iowa County. We are one of the smallest markets in all of sports. The Packers are the smallest markets if you look at locally. The Brewers are small. The Bucks are small, obviously. They don't even have an NHL team here because they figure no one will care. So you have the man from one of the most successful franchises in the NBA in the past 10 years crying that a guy born in Nigeria and raised in Greece, living in Wisconsin, has a narrative that follows him on one of the worst teams in NBA history. Are you serious? Are you kidding me? Oh my god. It's just, it gives me an aneurysm to think about this, because how can you be so absolutely brain dead to say something like this? And then, that's just the teams. Let's get into the players. Giannis Antetokounmpo, drafted 15th overall. No one knew who the hell he was. He sucked and did nothing for his first couple of years. Then he's getting better. He's getting substantially better. Now he's this dominant force in the NBA that no one can stop except himself, because he does not know how to shoot a free throw. And I swear to God, I'm going to try and teach him how to shoot a free throw before the next playoffs start. And then you have James Harden. James Harden, the one of the NBA's golden boys. Oh, James Harden is a historically great player. He averaged 36.6 points per game. Never mind the fact that, he took about 38 free throw attempts per game. And, sometimes it'll take him 27 shots to score 30 points. But hey, you know what? He is so good. The man goes to the free throw line more often than any other NBA player. He has historic numbers in terms of the free throws. Yes, James Harden is a fantastic player, and I would love to have him on the Bucks if he was one of the last choices that I could have. This man is a bona fide diva on the court. Off the court, he tends to stay out of trouble. He's not Antonio Brown, who's yelling at the clouds because the NFL won't let him wear a helmet that's been deemed unsafe because he's triggered that he has to follow rules not set by himself. He's not Terrell Owens, who is... What is Terrell Owens doing now? I don't even know. Dealing drugs? Possibly? It's like... James Harden isn't an off-the-court diva. He's an on-the-court diva because this man flops constantly. And you touch him once and he just flies out of here. And, then he cries about how he didn't get a call or he was fouled and it wasn't called, or... he has a natural shooting motion to kick out and make contact and then is mad when that's not called. And then he has the entire Houston Rockets organization look a fool because they went and looked back at missed calls and said, the 2008 Western Conference Finals, they were rigged. Here's the proof the Warriors won because of the refs. Not because we missed 27 straight threes, mind you. No, 27 straight threes missed, that's completely normal. That's not a historic number at all. The Rockets and James Harden claim that it was because of the refs that they lost that series. Because James Harden was pissy that he wasn't getting calls against the Warriors because he kicked his feet out to make contact. And James Harden is the example, the primary example of a narrative in the NBA because he gets every call. If you watch any basketball, which I know not many Rockets fans actually watch basketball because not many Rockets fans are smart. If you actually watch Rockets games in the middle of the season, not just the playoffs where they choke and it makes me laugh, but if you watch it during the regular season, you'll see James Harden gets a lot of calls that he probably doesn't deserve. And again, this would actually involve, 95% of people who claim to be NBA fans actually watching the NBA throughout the regular season. Now, luckily enough, I have a lot of friends that do watch the NBA throughout the regular season. I can actually talk to them about this. And the vast majority will agree with me. But for the other people that are out there that just say, oh yeah, I watch the NBA, LeBron James coming back to Cleveland, huh? When he's actually in LA. It's like these people don't even pay attention until the NBA Finals, and then they just buy whatever, and then they go to Lids and buy whatever hat for the NBA champion. So they probably have 3 different Warriors hats now, and now they have a Raptors hat to go with it. But if you actually watch the games, you'll see that James Harden gets a lot of calls. And if I had the capability to put in video here, if I knew what was and was not fair use, and if I had had that ability, I absolutely would put in examples here, and I made this a whole video, not just a podcast. But he gets so many calls that are just jokes all the time. I mean, there's phantom contact at least one time in every game that James Harden plays. And I think it's sad because he is an absolutely fantastic player. He is a amazing shot creator. He is actually a very good passer as well. The only part of his game that is not good is his defense, and his defense has never been good, and for him, he hasn't really needed to have good defense to be good, to be at a high level, especially in a league where it is now about putting up a ridiculous amount of points as opposed to playing shutdown defense. I think James Harden, though, would absolutely get his ass beat to Kingdom Coming back if he played in the 80s, because you could punch a guy or run him over with a car and it wouldn't be called a foul. But for James Harden to complain about Giannis Antetokounmpo benefiting from a narrative, it is just the absolute height of irony that I'm happy to be alive to witness. This is amazing stuff. This is delusion and idiocy at such a high level that it is worthy of winning Most Valuable Player. Because that is just how absolutely stupid this comment is. And anyone that defends this comment, you are a fool for defending James Harden. If you heard him and said, yeah, he's right, there was a narrative that made Giannis win. What do you consider a narrative? 60 wins? 60-22, the best team in the NBA throughout the regular season? I mean, I don't know what more you need. The MVP is a regular season award, not a playoff award. Oh, by the way, they did better than you in the playoffs. This is just funny. It's just funny to hear him say this. James Harden, the man who benefits from more calls in NBA history than anyone else. Anyone else. And I dare you to look it up. And if I'm wrong, I'll admit that I'm wrong. But I'm right, because I'm always right. It's not strictly true. But James Harden gets so many calls, and then he's going to complain about this. It's just, I'm going to keep repeating it because it's like, this is just so stupid. And I'm trying to repeat it so much that it eventually makes sense to me, but it doesn't. It keeps sounding more ridiculous than it did the last time I said it. It's just absolutely funny. So James Harden, I don't know. I don't know. Because, I want to like you because I think the brand of basketball you play is very fun, but then you just don't do this crap. And it's just an eye roller beyond belief. I want to know, does anyone actually agree with James Harden? If you do, let me know. And tell me why. Because I want to understand what logic is behind this. Because if you want to claim that Giannis had a narrative, sure, possibly because he was on pace to be the best player in the NBA or on pace to win MVP, and you could make the argument that, yeah, he was hyped up and he did play very well, he did deserve the MVP award. I'm not saying he didn't deserve it. I'm saying that there was a certain hype about him, especially for this year. Now, the Bucks were not expected to do this well this year. They went 60-22. They weren't expected to do that, but Giannis was expected to take extra steps to being a very good top 5 player. And he did that. So was it already expected? Sure. Was there a narrative around that? Possibly. Was he hyped up? Yes. But, I mean, the irony. James Harden has the audacity to complain about narratives when he himself directly benefits from narratives? Come on. Come on. This is just nonsense. It's absolute nonsense. Thank you so much for listening to this edition. It was only 15 minutes this time around, so I'm going to consider that a win. And unlike James Harden, I will actually have something to be proud of this offseason. So thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Again, leave any feedback, please. Share with as many people as you can. I love for more people to hear this and to get more involved with you guys as well, because I'd love to hear certain things or answer certain questions that you guys have. So if you do, please feel free to let me know, and I'll go over them next time. I really appreciate the listening and the feedback and everything that has come in, and I hope you all have a very wonderful day, and I'll see you next time.